I'd like to talk about varieties of gods, small gods and big gods, and in between gods. In a sense, I think of a god or gods as something that isn't there, something that is irrational, but provides you with some benefit, either real or imaginary. Something that might give you security, something that might give you confidence, something that might make you feel as if there's more to life. Something that provides excitement, or someone that's looking out for you, that cares for you. Now, a femto god, a very, very small god in a sense that matches this definition, would be a lucky rabbit's foot. Folks that are given rabbit's foots or other lucky charms in controlled scientific studies have better performance levels on tasks than those that don't. Of course, we all know this is the placebo effect, and this is, of course, part of what gods do, big and little. Now, in a sense, superheroes, those are gods in a sense. And real people can be gods, by my definition, because the idea of God is something psychological. It's essentially something we invest in something. And that is an emotional investment. And by making that investment, we gain something, but we also lose something. Because if we believe too great, and especially if the intellect becomes part of that belief, then we can do terrible things for a god or for a leader. Because we become blind to what is, because we see what is not there, because of our emotional investment and our suspension of intellect. In a sense, celebrities are mini-gods, maybe nano-gods. I don't really know much about celebrities. When I watch, Michael Buckley, I don't know what the buck's going on because I'm not watching a lot of those shows. But I do have my mini-gods. And they're right here on YouTube. And intellectually I know what they are. They're just people like you and me. And I wish I could say that Gisborne was a god to me because I admire him greatly. But he's just a person, and perhaps it's because I've always seen him as a person. I think in a sense to be a god, you must be something more than a person. You must be something divorced, in a sense, from humanity. And I know it's kind of funny to say this, but Azarnock was a mini-god to me. Because when I watched his channel, he had this cool banner that said Azarnock. And this GIF that kept flipping back and forth. And it was so cool, and the graphics were cool. And he was so fucking smart and bright and clever. And I knew he was a human being, just like you or me. But I didn't know who he was, really, and he never really gave it to me. He never showed who he was. I never knew who he was, and I invested something more. Emotionally, it felt good. He was the Wizard of Az! The great and powerful Az! And it felt good. And another god, Strophanthus, the young transvestite. Now, how was he a god? Because I couldn't see who he was. There was a persona there, and it was so cool because he's very bright, very creative, and he likes arachnids and reptiles. And he's always in a certain persona. So these were my mini gods. And then they came crashing down all at the same time. And in a funny way, I wanted to see that. Not to see them crashing down, but there's a part of me that wanted to see their humanity, to see who they are. Malinky Prince does this very well on the 5 Awesome Tranny channel. He's a person. He's real. He can never be a god or somebody that I invest as having superpowers on an emotional level. But Azarnoch and Strophanthus were magical, and I enjoyed these fantasies. Azarnoch would take over the world with rhetoric. La-da-da. Strophanthus with the power of personality. And of course the idea of dominating the world is a nice sort of metaphor for transcending gender. And whatever it actually means to him, what it means to me is important, and I kind of feel associated with that. It's part of my idea of humanity and everybody accepting people for who they are. And in an ironic way, I don't know who Strophanthus or the Wizard of Az is. And I should say the Viscount Alexstarsis Strophanthus. But obviously that's not his real name. And that is what gives him power. That's what gives God power. And then Az makes a video, a beautiful video, my favorite video he's ever made, in which he's sitting by a lake and a ladybug comes and sits right next to him. There's nothing more human than a ladybug. It's the most humanizing symbol there is to me. And he's writing to his subscribers. And then it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a credibly made video. And what does he do at the end? He kills a god. And I love it. He says his name is Jeff. Jeff. Love Jeff. He became a human being. And now I could never see him as a god anymore. That little tiny emotional god. And it felt great. I felt, wow, this is the direction I like. People revealing who they are. But another part of me felt let down. Because although I've never believed in God, I was never taught to believe in God. My little mini-gods, even if not on an intellectual basis, but on an emotional level, I still treasure them. And he's gone. He's dead to me as a god. I'm sorry. He's now one of us. And Strophanthus, goddamn, did the same thing. He was in a garden and he was going ahead and laying in the grass and being the Viscount, high priest of corn, close enough. And along came, ironically, a bug. And completely out of character, in a high-pitched, girly type of voice, the Viscount, who believes in spiders and snakes and, I don't know, pickle sanctuaries and cool, dark things like the Joker and Heath Ledger, which are really cool image things, says, "Oh, a bug!" Boom! Suddenly, Strophanthus became a person to me. I knew he was. And yet, there was a part of me that really enjoyed believing that he was something more. This is a trick politicians know very well. They know how to maintain a persona, and they know how to withhold information and to provide information so that you can invest in them, things that can make them mini-gods. What's the danger in all of this? Well, human beings have a natural tendency to follow. It's built into us evolutionarily. But when we follow a God that's supposed to be a personal God, the big guy upstairs, and he tells us to discriminate against transvestites, against gays, to treat women different than men, to be narrow-minded, and all that other crap that you've heard before, then there's a terrible danger. And there is no real difference between a leader that leads to tragic and sinister results and a God that does the same thing. It's the same damn psychological mechanism. Thanks, folks.